Hey everybody, I'm Natalie Barnett. As Shelby said before, I'm the DOE Code Product Manager with the Office of Scientific and Technical Information, and I've asked Shelby Stooksbury to be here as she's the software liaison. So we like to say that she deals with the submission of the software, and I deal with the discovery output portion of the software. So we're just going to share a little bit about what DOE Code is and some of the updates that we've completed recently. Next slide. So DOE Code is the software services platform and search tool for DOE funded code, and it replaces this old ESTSC service that we had. The application originally launched in November of 2017, and we've got over 4,900 software projects in there at this time. It provides functionality for collaboration, archiving, DOI registration, API submissions, and discovery. And then it supports submission and announcement of both unclassified, unlimited availability software, limited availability software, which is what we've just launched with our latest deployment, and then scientific and business software. So what kind of software is eligible for submission? So it is software that was developed or modified by DOE Labs, and then software that meets the formal definition of scientific and technical information based on this DOE order. The DOE lab and site software POCs, individual DOE funded developers are the ones who submit this software to DOE Code. And there are actually two paths that you can take to provide this software. There's a submission path and an announcement path. The submission path is for code in early stages of development. And if you want to obtain a DOI early in the process, the announcement, that is actually what ensures your accordance with your DOE responsibilities when you announce that code. And then with our latest deployment, the limited software, that one can only be announced, not submitted. So these are just some of the metadata requirements for each one of the paths. The first submission path, it's very minimal metadata is required, and then the announcement path here on the right. And then all software that is submitted or announced actually does undergo an approval step before it becomes discoverable in our output products. And right now with our latest deployment, a landing page URL or contact email is required for closed source software. The URL should provide additional information on how to obtain access to the code. Next slide, please. So these are some of the repository services we offer. We have GitHub and GitLab for the unlimited availability software funded by DOE. So either one of those options people can use. Next slide. So DOI assignment, that is only for the unlimited availability software. OSTI is a member and registering agency for DataCite. The assignment registration of DOIs for software is a free service that we provide. During the announcement process for software with unlimited distribution, a DOI will automatically be assigned unless the software already received a DOI from OSTI or another source. Limited distribution software will not receive DOIs during the announcement process, and that's just in accordance with other limited availability research output records. And then here's some of the other things that are required here on the left. Next slide, please. So project discovery. So DOE Code, which is the application we're talking about right now. So you can find submitted and announced projects in there, and it offers specialized software searching and filtering capabilities. OSCE.gov, which is our main flagship application. So you can also find the unlimited availability software, just the announced projects in that one. And then Science Research Connection, also known as SRC, that is specifically designed for the DOE community, and you have to have an SRC account to access the metadata records. And that is where you would find limited availability software. And then over here on the right, this is just a project record page showing the metadata on the record. You can link to a repository or landing page or contact information. There's license information available, save share options. There are badges if they're tagged with the associated project or research institution, and then we have citation formats readily available. Next slide, please. And then this is just an example of what our advanced search looks like. Next slide, please. And this is what the search result page looks like. There's various criteria that you can search by here. And you can export all of your search results as a JSON or CSV file. Next slide. So versioning and tagged releases, there are two ways that you can submit a tagged release. You can either select add new project, create a completely new record, or you can make a new or previous version of an existing DOE code record. DOE Code allows for submitting the tagged release of software hosted in GitHub as an individual record. You can obtain a separate DOI for the release. And this here on the right is a screenshot of an example of like a previous version, so you can kind of see what that looks like. Next slide, please. So contributors, you can specify contributors, contributor type, or contributing organization here. And this is an example of a record that has different contributors and what that looks like. Next slide, please. So archiving, OSTI maintains a dark archive and serves as departmental backup and storage. Open source software hosted in a public repository. Copy of the source code is automatically pulled and stored in dark archive. Copies are pulled daily, so subsequent changes to the source code are captured. Open source software not hosted in a public repository and closed source software. For that, a file upload of source code must be provided during the announcement of the software. The copy of the source code is used for archiving and preservation purposes only and not distributed by OSTI. And then all the source code files are inspected before project approval just to ensure those requirements are in place. Next slide. So these are some of the resources on our resources page. We link out to a variety of sites. You'll see the Force 11 software, citation implementation principles, code.gov. We're required with DOE Code to report software inventory to code.gov. So that just fosters scientific progress, provides transparency to, and promotes public understanding and use of the DOE funded open source software. And then here's a couple different links from DOE Code, our software policy page, FAQs, help page, all of those are here. And then these are our emails, and we can put that in chat if you have any questions or you want to reach out about anything after the presentation. We're happy to answer any questions, or if you have any questions now, please feel free to ask. I know I talked really fast.
Thank you so much for that awesome presentation. We've got one question from Hervé.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the term dark archive. Can you explain what this means?
Shelby, do you care to take that one?
Yes, and I don't claim to know what all takes place on the back end of our application. We have a whole team of developers that do that. But basically with a dark archive, what that means is we just store a copy of that source code. Of course, we have different file types that are supported. We pull that down and store it in our cloud in a secure location. We have a whole cybersecurity team that makes sure that's done correctly. And we just say dark archive, meaning that we are not publicly displaying that anywhere. So that's just OSTI as an organization, we're charged with preserving all scientific and technical information, products that come from DOE funded research. So we do this with other products, not just software, but software is one where we really defer distributions and licensing and all that to happen at the originating research organization. So really that dark archive just means we keep a copy of that here at OSTI. We don't share it with anybody, and we just have that for our preservation purposes.
Okay, thanks. Makes sense.
Sure.
Any other questions?
I've got one. I noticed that you have kind of both GitHub and GitLab support. Do you have any kind of integrations that, kind of as individuals make pushes or tags on either GitHub or GitLab, that gets noticed in DOE code, or is it kind of up to the researcher to say, yes, I want to get a new DOI, or I want to pull a new version of the code into DOE code?
I think, Shelby, tell me if this is right. So when it goes in there daily and it pulls like the code for that, it will get the ones that have those repo URLs. Is that right?
Yeah, so the Git, and I'll try to describe this separately. So our repository hosting services like GitLab are separate from the submission of the software. So if it's hosted in not just our GitLab, but anywhere, any subsequent pools, branches, anything like that that gets updated to the link they provide us, we capture all the most updated information and we store that daily. So we capture pretty much all the activity that goes on there, but it's really up to the researcher to, if something changes with that and there's a new version, and they have a completely separate URL for that, it's up to them to let us know and report that separately. I hope that helps answer your question.
That's very cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was a really awesome presentation. And if folks have other questions, I'm sure we can discuss more later.